Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video I want to discuss 2023 Topps Update. The 2023 Topps Update checklist has been released. The set does not come out for like another month or so, but good on Topps for releasing the checklist essentially with the pre-order, so that way people know what rookies are actually in the set. The one thing I want to point out about 2023 Topps Update is that the checklist is not as good as Series 1 or Series 2. And that's okay. Series 2, as an example, was extremely loaded, and this set does have some sneaky good players in it. But the one thing I want to point out is a majority of the rookies in this checklist are pitchers. A ton of them are pitchers, not many hitters, and that's going to actually influence a little bit of the rankings. But overall, I do these rankings with 4 different categories: age, prospect ranking, minor league stats, and major league stats. Age, if you're 20 years old, you get 10 points. If you're 30 years old, you get 0 points. So it goes down that way. Prospect ranking, if you're a top 10 prospect, you get 10 points. If you're a top 90 prospect, you get 1 point. If you're on a top prospect, you get 0 points. Major league and minor league stats are 1 to 10, how well you played. Let's just jump into this. You actually can see at number 10, I have Randy Vasquez, Michael Busch, and Gavin Stone. They all tied because I summed these all up and divided it by 4, so we get a total average score. I would pick Michael Busch as my number 1 option for number 10, just because he's a hitter, and on top of that, his ceiling is the highest in my eyes. Minor league stats are amazing right now. The Dodgers are essentially using him as a bench bat, so he hasn't been able to get really into the full swing of things as a big league hitter, and I think he will next year as we'll actually start getting into it. He is 25 years old though, which is not great for card collecting. The younger the better when it comes to sports cards. At number 9, we have Mason Miller. Mason Miller is good. I will say that. I did not anticipate seeing him on here, but when I did this list, I look at every single rookie, and he's having a great year so far. So he's 24 years old. He is not a top 10 prospect, and his minor league and big league stats are solid. So here is Mason Miller. He is 0-2 with a 2.84 ERA in 5 games. He can't get much run support with the A's, so it's not a big surprise he loses. 0.9 WAR and a WHIP below 1. If we scroll down, you'll see his minor league stats. He only pitched in 15 games before being brought up to the big leagues because he pitched 5 seasons in college, but he had a 2.52 ERA. He struck out only 69 batters, but still it's not bad for 15 games. And overall in the big leagues, it has translated to being a great big league pitcher so far. Again, only 5 games, small sample size, but Mason Miller is in here, and realistically everybody above him, there's a lot of other pitchers that we could have put in here, but I picked Mason Miller. At number 8, we have Taj Bradley, another pitcher. He is 22 years old. He is a top 30 prospect. His minor league stats are great. Big league stats have not really shown yet. Minor league stats, we can see if we go down here, a 3.02 ERA, 382 strikeouts in 80 games. In the big leagues though, he has negative 0.4 WAR with a 5-7 record, a 5.56 ERA, and a very high WHIP. So he has not been great yet, but he does have the age and the prospect ranking going for him. At number 7, we have one of my personal favorites on this list, which is Matt McLain. I love Matt McLain. I live close to the Reds, and so I've been able to watch him this year, and he's really good. He is 23 years old. He is only a top 70-ish prospect. His minor league stats are great, and his big league stats are great. He has been flying under the radar because he plays in Cincinnati, and Elly De La Cruz actually overshadows him. Elly De La Cruz is not in this set, by the way. He's being held till next year. His call-up cards you can get, but they're not rookie cards. But here's Matt McLain, a 129 OPS plus, 864 OPS. He has 14 stolen bases, 16 home runs, has an outside chance of a 2020 season for a rookie, which is great. Plus, he has a higher OPS than a lot of rookies. And overall, his minor league stats and his college stats are great as well. He had a 267 batting average with a 905 OPS in the minor leagues, which is really good, with 32 home runs in 172 games. So basically, one full season of games, 32 homers, 117 RBI, 267 batting average is a little bit low, but that's nothing I'm concerned about at all. So Matt McLain, I wish he was a little bit higher. He's only not because his prospect ranking wasn't super high. At number 6, we have Tanner Beebe. Hope I'm saying that right. He actually is someone I was not aware of until I was doing this video and going through every single rookie, but he is having a fantastic season for the Cleveland Guardians. If we look at his numbers, he has a 3.2 WAR, 10 wins, 4 losses, 3.03 ERA, 1.185 WHIP. He's having a great year. 137 strikeouts, 136 innings. Tanner Beebe, that somehow the Guardians just somehow produce pitchers. That's just what they do, and he's another example of that. He is a top 50 to top 30 prospect. I believe that I gave him the higher end of that, which is why it's 6 right here. His minor league stats are good and his major league stats are good. The only problem with him, he's a pitcher and he's a little bit older at 24 years old. Minor league stats though, a 2.13 ERA, so it's not a fluke that he's pitching so well in the big leagues. Again, it's only 28 games, but still, he's been really fantastic, and I think he'll be good this year and the next few years for the Guardians as well. Pitchers are so hard to predict though, that you never can say he's like worth investing in, but there are a few decent high ceiling pitchers on here, but every pitcher has a low floor in the hobby. At number 5, we have Bobby Miller, another example of this. Bobby Miller had a significantly higher prospect ranking and is 24 years old, which is why he's going to be higher than Tanner Beebe and other pitchers on this list. And he's pitching relatively well in the big leagues this year. 1.4 WAR, 9 wins, 7 losses with just a sub 4 ERA, which is fine for a rookie. And he throws hard. I've watched him a ton because I watch Mookie Betts all the time, so I end up watching Bobby Miller. But a 1.141 whip. He was a top 20 prospect that gave him 8 points. And overall, if we scroll down, we can see in the minor leagues, he had a 3.79 ERA. He strikes out a decent amount as well, 227 strikeouts. But overall, he needs to actually work on getting that a little bit lower. His stuff, his fastball is hard, but it's pretty straight a lot of the time. So you can barrel it up if you're sitting fastball, which is why his numbers aren't so great. But if you can develop a few other secondary and third pitches, that could be great for him as well. At number 4, you have Zach Neto of the Los Angeles Angels. The Angels had so much promise with O'Hoppe and Neto, and both got hurt this year. But overall, Neto's having a great year. He was drafted not that long ago, I think last year, just the year prior. But look at Neto's stats. We can see 1.5 WAR, a 90 OPS plus is misleading because he's been okay offensively, about league average, just under league average. But he's been one of the best defenders in baseball, which I can show in a moment. But overall, you can see he has consensus. He's at least in the top 100 according to each publication. Baseball Prospectus has him at the highest at 47, which is why I gave him 5 points, the average of them. But overall, you can see he's a top prospect. His minor league stats, if we look, he had a 321 batting average with a 961 OPS, not a ton of power, but only 48 games with 10 home runs. But if you actually look at the big leagues, he hasn't done as great offensively yet, but that's going to come, in my opinion. Only 22 years old. If we go to his overview, we can go look how much defensive WAR he's provided. 0.6 D-WAR, so a great defensive shortstop that has bat upside potential, which is why Angels fans are excited about Neto. At number 3, we have Grayson Rodriguez. He is a top prospect. Literally, he is in the top 10. He has 10 points right there. Age, he's only 23 years old, and his minor league stats were amazing. It has not translated to the big league level yet, but this year he's 5-4 with a 4.88 ERA, only a 0.2 WAR, so barely above, not even league average, but basically barely a positive player. But you can see he is a top 10 prospect. And if we scroll down to the minor league stats across the last 5 years, he has a 2.4 ERA, strikes out a ton of people. Overall, he has a ton of potential to be the front of a rotation type player, and I think he'll actually get there someday. Maybe he's an ace, who knows? But Grayson Rodriguez is probably the best pitcher to invest in this set, but just know it has not translated to the big league level yet, but everything else says that he is a good player. At number 2, we have Gabriel Moreno. You might be saying he was in other sets. He was in either Series 1 or Series 2. That is true, but that was in the Blue Jays uniform. He was traded to the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is why he has a card in Topps Update. So Gabriel Moreno, I'm not going to go too deep into his stats because of that, because he's 23 years old. He is a top 20 prospect, great minor league stats. His big league stats are pretty good. Here's his big league stats. He has a league average offensive catcher, but he's amazing defensively, and he's actually pretty good for a catcher being league average. That's good. 3.4 WAR this year. So that is Gabriel Moreno, and that is why he's number 2. And at number 1, we have Yuri Perez for the Miami Marlins, another pitcher. Maybe I said Grayson Rodriguez is the best investment. Who knows? Maybe it's Yuri Perez. But again, a ton of pitchers on this list. He is going to be one of the best to look into. And the reason for that, he's 20 years old. He is a top 10 prospect. And if we look even further, his minor league stats have been great, and his big league stats have been great. Minor league stats, he has a 3.01 ERA. He actually has 272 strikeouts, and that is in 46 games started. At the big leagues this year, he has a 3.06 ERA and overall has 106 strikeouts. So Yuri Perez is my number 1 on this set because of his age, prospect ranking, and minor league and major league stats. One thing I want to note is this set is not as strong as Top Series 1 or Top Series 2 when it comes to rookie star power. That's true. But overall, I do think that this set has potential to be a fun set to open. It could be cost effective. You're going to have silver packs. You're going to have rookie debuts of all the other players, and those silver packs will have those other players in them. So not all hope is lost. And we saw this in 2020. That was the last real bad set we had in 2021 Topps Update. 2021 Top Series 1 with Joe Adell leading it was pretty bad too in hindsight. But overall, some sets are just worse than others, and that's all right. I actually like when Topps loads certain sets like we saw with Series 2 having a ton of great rookie cards, and others might be weaker. We see this with other years in the past. We just forget about them, like 2012 Topps Series 2. Is there anybody in that checklist? No, and that's all right. And I think this overall, there's some players that could potentially have long-term hobby value. I myself like Matt McClain. I like Yuri Perez. I like Zach Neto. Would I buy any of their cards? Who knows? Probably not, because I don't really collect a ton of these type of players, but those players all have potential. So overall, that's my thoughts on 2023 Topps Update in the checklist. Let me know in the comments below who you're looking for, and I will see you in the next video.